let's talk about things you don't know you will do when you start out freelancing, or you don't know what you will have to do when you start freelancing. I think as a concept you may know, not as a reality.
Wow, that's so deep.
I know. Today I'm like,
you're on fire today.
Yeah.
Yeah. You mean like the millions of jobs you have to do?
Exactly. So to recap, what we are doing here, it's design. So we are designers, we are art directors, we are developers, we are bookkeepers, we are assistants. Wait, I had 8 jobs.
I can add some to them.
Please. Social media managers.
Yeah.
Account managers, project managers.
Cleaner.
Yeah, cleaners. Yeah, I think this is already enough.
Shiggy, mother of a turtle.
Okay, mother of a turtle. That's like a half one. We did this to ourselves for you.
Yeah, but Shiggy lives in the office, so it's part of this company.
Okay, but I feel like that would go to assistant job.
Okay, yeah.
I feel like 9 is already a lot of hats to on. I feel like let's unpack these 9 jobs and we will be yapping for the next hour. So when we started out, I only had the execution work in mind. Like that will be our job.
Yeah, same. And then like pretty early on, I feel like it became clear how much work clients are.
Yeah.
So like account management, client communication, emails, and then also
invoice,
the accounting stuff like proposals, invoices, keeping track of all of that stuff.
Oh my God, yeah, because just last year I noticed that a client hasn't paid us. It's small amounts, so it could go unnoticed, and they paid us all in bulk. And I was like, what is this payment? And then I noticed, oh my God, it's from like a lot of invoices that we issued.
Yeah.
And I did not like check up.
But that's the thing. Like if you don't have someone checking up on that, then you lose track.
Exactly. And
that's why big companies have like a whole accounting section in their company because they need it.
And
keep track of everything.
Obvious like you need to check if the invoices actually come in. Yeah, of course you need to check. But if you have 9 jobs, then some things just go.
Yeah, they just slip through the cracks.
Yeah, and even though it's like a big thing because it's like a money thing that should be like on the top priority list.
Yeah.
If it's like smaller amounts, this happens. Of course, with bigger amounts, I have to say
I always check with the big invoices.
Exactly, but like smaller amounts, this can happen, and it just. Yeah.
Also, especially if it's a client that always pays
so
on time, and then you just assume they paid, and then you don't even check.
Exactly, because most of our clients are long-term relationships, so you know how they pay, you kind of know them at that point, and you obviously trust them, and then it's like not something we keep checking and checking and checking. But obviously, it would be nice to check because then we could see that it did come in. But yeah, it's just so much to do that seems weirdly to be then suddenly low priority. Also, it's like a thing where checking these things, from my head, I'm like, this is such a high effort.
I know.
Even though it's a low effort.
It takes not even a minute, but it seems like it's going to take forever. I know what I mean.
And my brain doesn't work this way, where it's like,
That's how I feel about answering text messages sometimes.
Yeah. Like when you just feel paralyzed.
Yeah.
It's going to be so much work, and it's like just a minute.
And you just ghost someone for days because you're like, I can't deal with this right now.
I think a lot of people can relate to that.
Yeah, I think so too.
So that's what it feels like to do bookkeeping.
Yeah. Like even just saving an invoice to a folder.
Oh my God, I hate it. I'm like, did I do this? And then it's like missing, but I always do it. But how did I miss out on this one?
Yeah.
Because when I was doing the financial plan, I noticed that there were like missing invoices.
Yeah.
I'm like, I'd always save it there, but I suppose I didn't do it on time, and then it fucks everything up. I'm like, oh, okay, so this is like also part of the job. And
I feel like some of the jobs we do you wouldn't have if you're like only a single freelancer.
Okay, fair enough.
Like the managing stuff, managing other people, art direction. You might give art direction if you're specifically contracted to do that.
Yeah, fair.
But you're not like giving somebody else art direction and then having to then they like work on your feedback and then having to give feedback again. That's also like a job that I always like put off.
Because
because I feel like it's gonna take forever.
It does take a long time.
It does take a long time, but I feel like afterwards, whenever I'm done, I'm like, okay, it wasn't that bad.
No, it's not bad at all, but it takes up time. And the thing with all of these little, it's little things like checking up an invoice.
Yeah.
It kind of like, how do you say, like it rips.
It takes you out of your workflow if you're actually doing something else.
Exactly. And just like getting an email, I know I should probably silence the notifications, but it takes me out of my workflow.
Yeah.
And I do have like kind of a system now where I reply to all the emails in the morning and then ignore them for a while. And then at the end of the day, I reply to all the emails again.
Yeah, that's what I do as well.
Yeah, but still, I mean, those jobs exist because they are whole as jobs.
Yeah.
Account manager, project manager, developer, designer, art director, like all of these things are own jobs. And doing them all yourself is exhausting.
Yeah.
And I like, since we have all the freedom, obviously, it's like not as bad. But it's a lot.
Yeah, the freedom part is like a double-edged sword though, because yeah, you have freedom, but at the same time that means you have to like be extra organized.
Exactly.
Because no one's telling you what to do, when to do it. You have to do all of that.
Yeah.
Which means it's harder to keep track of everything.
Yeah.
If you're not really organized, because no one's going to remind you.
No one's going to remind
you. The only people reminding us is us. Like, I'll remind you, you'll remind me.
And our accountant.
And the clients when they're like, hey, I'm following up on this email. And then we're like, fuck, I forgot to reply to that.
Exactly. And I'm like, and I totally don't want that to happen.
Yeah, I hate when that happens.
Yeah,
I was like, oh, that's like such a failure if the client has to check in.
Exactly. I hate that too. But sometimes it happens because that's the nature of doing so many different things, because you need to prioritize at some point, because otherwise you just go crazy.
Yeah.
So one day you prioritize this, but then of course you might forget about something that you were actually supposed to do that day as well.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's a bit.
The way I handle that stuff is I always have like specific days designated to specific type of work.
Yeah.
So Monday for me is always like a non-work day. Like I do something super focused on a Monday.
Really?
Yeah. So for me, Monday is like emails. Yeah. And then like feedback, art direction kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But it could never be a day for me where I have to like execute something.
Okay, for me it's different, because
that's for me like later in the week. Like a Wednesday or a Thursday is for me like a day where I can do that.
Okay, for me it's different, because for dev work, it's sometimes more urgent.
Yeah.
And then I know that the last week, what I was not able to get done, so I need to finish it start of next week. So that's kind of like, so I am doing the first half a day just project and account management, and then I'm like executing the rest of the day like hardcore. Like I feel like Monday is kind of a hardcore day for me.
No, Monday has to be a chill day for me. I can't function.
No, I need to function.
And then Tuesday is the day we do the podcast. So that's also a day. It's like a nothing day.
But that's what I mean. I need to finish those things on Monday, because on Tuesday I know we're doing this.
Yeah.
And then, I have the other half of the day to execute. But I know that I will mostly just do project and account management this day.
Yeah. For me, Tuesday is like, if we do the podcast, then I'll usually edit it on that day.
Yeah.
And then that's out of the way. And then Wednesday and Thursday are like focus days for me.
Yeah.
Where I can do a lot of stuff in a short amount of time.
Yeah.
I think that's also the thing for me, is because I know I can do a lot in a short amount of time. I procrastinate. Yeah. So Monday and Tuesday are like my procrastination days, where I do something else that still like needs to get done, but nothing that's like, like super high focused work.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because even if I didn't get it done the week before, I'm like, I'll get it done on Wednesday, like all on Wednesday.
Yeah, that's a good skill to have.
But it's also easier with design, because it's less time consuming if you're fast. Not. I think it's harder to be fast in development.
Yeah, you just have so many dependencies.
Because then usually when you're fast, you're sloppy, and then something doesn't work, and then you're testing it, and it ends up taking way longer, because then you don't know what the bug is, and it's just you have to be more.
Also, you need to take care of every edge case, and you were maybe not aware of it when you were looking at the ticket. I'm like, okay, this should be fine, and this, that, and that. I'm like, oh my god, I need to take care of literally every single thing, because otherwise it's not gonna work. And with design, I don't have that feeling. Like you have to take care of a lot of things, obviously too, but not all of the little edge cases that happen in development.
Yeah, because even if you forget like a button state, the developer will remind you later on.
Yeah.
And it's not a big deal.
Exactly. Whereas if you forget it in development, that's a bigger deal. So yeah, just the nature of the work is just a different one. And it feel like it takes longer. But overall, yeah, I divide my days. Like you divide your week, I divide my days like that.
Oh, okay.
So it's like half a day I'm usually more what you do, things that need to get done, but also not high priority sometimes.
Like easy tasks.
Yeah. Where I still feel accomplished and I procrastinate, and then I get super active by the end of the day, which is super annoying.
For me, it's like the week. Like I'm not productive at the beginning of the week, and then at the end of the week I get super productive.
No, I get unproductive by the end of the week. Like for example, Fridays I actually also sometimes have a focus day. First days.
Friday depends. Sometimes I'll have a focus day and sometimes it'll be a nothing day. It
exactly.
Depends on the workload and stuff.
Yeah, so if there's nothing
like if there's nothing urgent, I'm like, it's Friday, I'm chilling.
Exactly, same. But the past weeks have kind of been stressful in that regard. I was working on almost all Fridays.
Yeah.
But fine, that happens. Also cool thing about the job, sometimes there's a lot to do and then you work a lot, but then sometimes it's more chill and then you can be like, okay, I'm going home.
Yeah.
Like whatever. Or today I'm like hardly doing anything, and I like that.
Yeah.
Kind of like an up and down.
I think that's also why I have to have my days be different stuff every day, because otherwise I'd get bored. If it's like the same every day and I do like a little bit of social media, a little bit of management, a little bit of this, a little bit of that, a little bit of accounting, and it's like the same thing every day, I don't know, I think I would get bored. And I do get bored, and that's why I can't do it that way. So for me, it's like I have my social media day, I have my content creation day, I have my business tasks day, and I have my nothing days.
Yeah, I mean, fair. Everyone works differently.
Yeah.
Operates differently. And the cool thing is we, due to the nature of our jobs, we are like free to do that. And we can work, we still get the work done. So
I know.
It's like working, whatever we do is working. It's just that we both have a different process of operating.
Yeah. It's definitely something that wasn't clear to me when we started out, that you have to be, if you don't have the resources, which most people don't when they're not really big, you have to be a social media manager, you have to be a content creator. Those two things is something that's new-ish, I'd say. Like 10 years ago, you didn't have to do that.
No.
You were just a design agency and you did your client work or whatever.
Yeah.
And I feel like, you can still do that in our field. You don't have to be a content creator.
No.
But I do think that being online, having an online presence in some way is important. And that's something a lot of people don't think about when they start out. That they suddenly have to post their work somewhere. That work has to also look nice, people to get clients and stuff.
Yeah, I think I was also not super aware how much you work for the company.
Yeah.
Like doing all these assets takes up time that you don't work on client work, meaning you're losing money.
Yeah.
Of course, best case scenario, you've already calculated it into the budgets. But that's the best case scenario.
But you also have to have the time for that. And then a lot of the times if you're booked out, you don't have a lot of time for that. Unless you plan your weeks in a way where you say to your clients, Fridays or Thursdays or Mondays or whatever, I'm not doing client work and I work on the business.
Yeah, I mean, we say this also in the course. Like, you really have to think about that not all the hours that you have in the week will be used for client work.
Yeah.
Actually, I don't even know how much %
I think in the course, I recommended having like 3 days of client work max in a week.
That makes sense, because you just really...
Because you have to have 2 days to get your shit together.
Yeah, you need to do your bookkeeping.
But like social media or like portfolio stuff. Then you also have to leads, deal with potential clients. I don't know, there's a lot of stuff, and it really does take up 2 days.
Yeah, but in total, because if you think about it, a lot of days, even though you're doing execution work, you will also do project management.
Yeah.
Like just just answer.
Even the days that you're working on projects, you're going to be doing other tasks in between.
Exactly. And those will accumulate into probably 2 days.
Yeah.
Yeah. So maybe if you just think about a freelancer, if you were like alone, of course, then depends what you do, but you will probably either be a designer or developer. I mean, doing both is insane.
Yeah.
If you do that and you can manage, hey, good for you, I would die. Let's say you're a designer, you still have to do just one job less, basically.
Yeah.
And okay, 2 jobs less. Let's put art direction away too. You're a designer, you get booked for doing design.
Yeah.
And it also depends on if you have own clients or if you work for agencies. So if you like work for agencies,
less project management.
Exactly. Yeah. So you have like project. Yeah. I mean, you still have to manage the project within your.
Yeah, for yourself, but you don't have to like worry about timelines or anything like that.
So account management. I mean, you have to account manage the agency, but let's be real.
That's not as much work. Yeah.
No, as a client. So.
Yeah. Honestly, to have the most relaxed life as a freelancer, I think, is to work for agencies.
Yes, I agree. I mean, there are very tight deadlines for agencies. However, you don't have to do all the other stuff.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like the balance of it all.
Yeah. It might be more stressful for execution, but overall, I think it's less stressful.
Yeah.
Obviously, it also depends on the people you're working with. Like if they're horrible, then obviously.
Yeah, it always depends on the context, but as a general rule.
As a general rule, I think the best way to go as a freelancer, I always say this, is to work with agencies.
And we did that at the start. And I think that's why also we were then suddenly over, how do you say that? When we got our own clients, that's when you realize how much work account and project management.
Yeah.
So before that, when we were working with agencies and like really small clients, where it's like not that, I mean, there's still project and account management, of course, but it's in a different scale.
Yeah.
And when you were working with agencies, like we just got like, do this, do that, do this and that. And here's the feedback. Like we were not part at all.
Good old times.
Yeah. So this is like, if I think about it, it's like great. And if I were alone as a freelancer, this is the route I would go.
Same.
Yeah. So yeah, just, I guess this is like more like an awareness episode. And that it's all fun and games until you're suddenly there and you have to do all these jobs at once. And it can get overwhelming.
Yeah, like you just want to design and be like creative, and then suddenly you have to do bookkeeping and your taxes.
Exactly. And then you have to know, and you have to learn so much.
You have to learn so much. Yeah, like, and also if you want to like start a podcast and suddenly you're a podcast editor, suddenly you're researching how do you even put a podcast online, because apparently it isn't just uploading a file. It's also like way more complicated than you think it is. Yeah. And then you're suddenly an expert in creating a podcast, and actually you're just a designer.
Exactly. Yeah.
Like, because you just had like, you wanted to do something like a little more extra.
Yeah.
And then, it's with everything. Or like, you're just constantly learning stuff, I feel like.
Yeah, I mean, like tax systems.
Yeah.
How to invoice this the correct way if if you need to make a correction.
Yeah.
Like, it's really, really small things that you think, oh my God, this is like nothing. But it accumulates again to so much bigger stuff. Like if this is suddenly a day-to-day issue that comes up, like suddenly it pops up, and then you think you will have like a day of execution. Suddenly you get an email that's an urgent email from your accountant, do this and that. Okay, shit.
Yeah, and then you have to drop everything and look for an invoice.
That suddenly takes up hours, because you're dependent on other services to get that invoice.
Yeah.
And it's like, first you need to research how to get that invoice. Then you have to contact the people. Then you have to be like on track there.
And then they tell you, oh, we don't have an invoice because you're not a client with us anymore. And then you literally took money off of the account in that year. Like, how can we not have been a client?
Yeah.
How can you not have this invoice?
Exactly. And then suddenly that's your job. You're like, oh, so a PI?
Yeah, for real.
Like, suddenly start investigating, and then
you also have to know. You also had to know like a little bit of law.
Yeah.
Because the bank that we used to be at tried to tell us they can't give us a statement anymore because we're not a client with them anymore, and I was like, no, that can't be true, because in Austria you have to like archive stuff at least 10 years back. Like they legally have to, but like you have to know that that's your right, that those are your rights. You suddenly have to know your rights just to get a freaking bank statement.
Yeah. Oh my God. We forgot in the year review, the year review, we forgot to say that we were being gaslit the whole year.
Yeah. Oh my God.
But
Oh my God.
so many
2024 was like gaslighting.
101.
Yeah.
Like so many dependencies we had to take because for context, we switched our legal entity of the company. And
basically, it's just a name change.
Exactly. It's just a name change.
It's a name change and a tax ID change.
Yeah. So 2 variables changing.
Apparently, it's impossible to just go into a data set and change those.
Yeah.
No.
Even if it's impossible, even if it's
literally
fine. Okay, it's fine even, but almost no one
was able to do it. Yeah.
And you know how many people had to run after?
It was such a domino effect of so many different things in 2024 because of this name change.
Exactly. So
invoices, contracts, health insurance, for our employees was suddenly messed up. Do you remember that?
I forgot about that because their system messed it up, and then we have to take care of it,
because their system wasn't able to do the name change, and then they had like 2 companies in the system, and then
the health insurance of the health insurance, the state health insurance, there should be like a 101.
There was no record of the state health insurance, even though we had been paying it.
Yeah. Going into the void.
It was in a void somewhere.
I forgot about that. Oh, horrible. Yeah, suddenly you have to do those things. Would you really think you have to do those things?
I'm 100% sure the accountant was thinking the same thing when that happened.
Yeah, he's like, what the hell is
that? Now I'm suddenly an expert in health insurance database because these people can't get their shit together.
Exactly, and I feel like I suddenly had to do someone else's job, tell them,
because they're gaslighting us, telling us we're not in the system. No, we are.
Yeah. And this was
the whole year. Then the bank telling us they can't give us a statement.
And then I have to walk there and
it's not even over because we just recently got an email from the electricity saying we don't. That's what I was saying. They're telling us we weren't a client with them, so they don't have our own invoice.
So you have to,
which is not true.
And so all these things that suddenly why is this happening?
Why is this my job right now?
Yeah, why is this my job right now? And those things I absolutely was not aware of.
You know, my feeling whenever these things happen is I'm just a girl. I'm not equipped for all of this.
No, and I don't want to be.
That's the thing. Yeah.
I don't want to do these things.
Yeah, I just want to be a girl and have my company and have my money. And I don't want to have to know I don't want to have to learn about taxes and all this stuff.
Yeah, even fine, but not learning about how the state health insurance, why they fucked up, and we had to suddenly start to investigate.
Yeah.
It was just suddenly my job to investigate the health insurance databases. Not that we had access to it, but we had to think what could be the potential problem. So we
could tell them, and then they could figure it out.
Yeah, why am I suddenly API for the state health insurance?
I don't know.
And those things suddenly happen, and then you have to put the work that you actually do aside to do those things, and they happen more frequently than you think.
Yeah, it's one after the other. You think everything's tied up, and then suddenly the next
email comes, and I'm like, oh, this is ever ending.
Yeah, and then the insurance company.
Oh my god, yeah.
Oh my god. So when we changed the legal entity at the beginning of the year, we had a list of all the people we have to tell, and we told everybody. And this insurance company, I had a back and forth with the insurance company about that.
Yeah.
But I knew they didn't do it because we kept getting letters addressed to the old company name. I'm I knew in the back of my mind.
But you were oh, I can't.
This is gonna bite me in the ass at some point. But I'm I can't deal with it. It's future Rebecca's problem. But then that happened. Obviously, the future came, and
I was the future Rebecca.
Yeah, and then the insurance company is what? We never changed this. We have to do this, this, and this, and this.
And then suddenly we had a tight time frame to do it because it was wrapping up.
Because the accountant needed it, and oh my god, it was just all of this stuff, and I'm just please, I feel again I'm being gaslit. We had this conversation already at the beginning of the year. Yeah. Why are we having this conversation again?
But that's what I mean. We suddenly have to really just like with the invoice, you have to double check.
Yeah.
You finally get all this to do done, and you're not gonna okay, wait, we need to double check. No, this is done in my head. I'm not dealing with this anymore. I did this. On to the next thing.
Yeah.
I don't have the time to, let's take to this.
That's the thing though, like
over everything again. You don't have the time.
I know, that's the thing with all this, like all these people we told about the name change, like
Yeah.
I don't have time to follow up every single day.
Exactly.
You know, I expect like if I tell them that they do their job and I did my end, they should do their end.
Exactly. Like when people can't, they expect us to do our jobs, and we are doing our jobs.
Yeah.
And so we just expect the same from other people.
I think also when you're like self-employed, you're highly independent.
Yeah.
So you expect that everyone would be that way.
Yeah, that's true.
And because that's the nature of your job, to figure it out and to do it yourself without anybody's help. But other people are not like that. And then when you deal with people from like insurance companies who are employed, or you deal with like electricity companies where people are employed, you can tell that they are not as independent, because you give them a task, you tell them they don't do their job. And if you don't follow up, they will not do their job. And it's like usually bigger companies where there's less like overview of what everyone's doing. So you really have to follow up to make sure they actually did it.
Yes, it's maybe not even a thing of not doing the job. Yes.
But they literally aren't doing their job. We had to do their job for them.
I know, I remember. But I think it's also a thing of not wanting to solve a problem that's maybe a bit more... It is actually...
The thing is, though, and because they are employed, they have the feeling like it's not their responsibility.
Yeah.
No one wants to take responsibility. I feel like that's the general issue of employment.
Yeah.
Is you're employed to do a certain thing, and as soon as it goes beyond your perceived responsibility, you don't do it.
Yeah, even though it's like a big problem, like for example, the health insurance thing.
No one wanted to take responsibility for that.
It was like, not our fault.
It's not we're not responsible.
Yeah, and then who is?
Who is then?
To take care of it.
I can't go into the database and change.
I would have at that point.
Me too.
I was like ready to go to the health insurance, like, give me your computer.
I knew where the issue was. I knew how to fix it.
How did we know?
I know.
They didn't.
Exactly. But that's the thing. It's like...
Yeah, and that's like...
Also, you're working with people who don't want to do their job, or like, I don't know, refuse to take responsibility.
I think it's also like a problem-solving thing. Like when you're self-employed, I hope that like problem-solving is one of your hobbies.
Yeah.
Because if not, then it's gonna be difficult, because all you do is solve problems. And I think after like, how many years are we operating? 4 years? 5? No, 4.
5.
This is the 5th year.
Yeah.
Yeah. So after 4 years of full operation, we had to solve so many problems. And I think we already noticed patterns, and we can already identify, hey, if it's because we do like development and design, if it's like a data problem, that we can trace it back like in a more, just makes more sense to us.
Yeah.
And I feel like I need to solve a problem if it's there.
Yeah, but I don't understand how you cannot want to solve a problem that's causing people's health insurance to not show up in the system.
Exactly. That was a huge issue. And we were like, and our hands were tied, even though we kind of like already guessed the issue. But our hands were tied. It's like we couldn't go and be like, hey, let me come here over your shoulders and I will tell you where the problem is, or where the supposed problem is. But yeah, so all these things, we really like made like a whole, we kind of drifted off.
This episode went from
being like, hey,
all the jobs you do, haha, so funny, to a rant about it, actually.
Yeah, but fine. I think we also like talk a lot of, this lives from our experiences, so it's all good.
Yeah.
Imagine just like saying, oh, this will be our job, bye. Who cares? Could have been an email.
This episode could have been an email. For real.
These will be your jobs. Have fun.
Yeah.
And be aware of it. No, but I think a lot of things just come while you're working on it. And I think a lot of issues that we had, other people probably don't have, because changing legal entities.
Yeah, having employees with health insurance that isn't trained up in the system.
I mean, that's kind of like such a niche problem that you're suddenly dealing with, but there's gonna be so many niche
problems. But also, why does it always happen to us? Because our accountant, in the same year, did the same thing, and he said there were no issues. He's like, that's why he couldn't understand it, because they're able to do it properly. Yeah. But for some reason, with our company, something fucked up.
And it's not even that deep. Like, we're a small company.
Yeah.
I don't get it.
I don't get it either.
It should be like something that's just like but it should I feel like a company, like an entity change, that's an everyday thing.
They should just change the name and the tax ID and the data. I don't understand why that's so. You know what they ended up doing? They ended up deleting it, and that's why it was gone.
Yeah.
Because they wanted to set up a new data set with all and move everything over, but they ended up deleting it at some point, and that's why it was out of the system.
And then I forgot about it.
They just deleted the health insurance of 4 people.
Yeah,
3 people.
One, it didn't even affect.
For one, it didn't even affect them. Yeah, it only affected one person. How does it even happen? Like,
I don't know. Let's not go back into that.
Yeah.
But like, okay, overall, you will be doing a lot more than you think you'll be doing. Just be aware of
I feel like things that you should look into when you start a business is accounting, the taxes in your country, obviously, like to really actually learn it, because if you don't have the money for an accountant, you're gonna need to know it.
That's our accountant.
And then also like just know your basic rights as a customer of all the companies that you are associated with. So like electricity, banks, I don't know what else you use. Like know your rights, because they will try to gaslight you.
Yeah, they gaslit me well.
Yeah, and then you'll just accept it, because it'll be like, oh, unknowingly be like, oh, okay, I guess I can't get my bank statement, and then I'll have to pay this fine from the finance ministry because I can't get this invoice.
Yeah, but you can actually get it. I don't know why. I mean, just take quickly to rent. Why are they calling me, telling me that? They called me out of their free will.
They called you?
Yeah, they called me.
You didn't even call them?
No, they called me.
Someone was like, I'm going to call this person and tell them that I can't get...
That's what I've been saying. That's why I was like going through it. I'm like, why would someone do this to me? Like
they actively gaslit you then.
Exactly. I wrote an email because I thought they should send it to our, like last time we got our bank statement. Send it to our address again. Then they actively called me and told me it's not possible.
That's insane.
That's what I meant. Like, why would they actively, that's why I believed it, because why would they go out of their ways and actively call me if I'm in their hotline and they tell me, yeah, whatever.
Yeah.
They actively.
Yeah, because like hotline people often don't know like the real information.
Exactly. No. He called me.
That's so crazy.
Yeah. So that's why I was like, I guess it must be true.
I know. And then I was like, no, that can't be true.
And it wasn't true.
But imagine I didn't know that. Like,
yeah.
You know?
I mean, our accountant, he that also told us.
Yeah, our accountant.
So
that's true.
That would have been.
But then again, like some people don't have an accountant.
No, for sure. Yeah. Okay.
So yeah, you need to know your rights. It's so bad.
Yeah, and you need to be able, which I am. Oh. That should have been in the last episode. Whatever. I feel like this is a chaotic episode now anyway.
Yeah.
So I'm just going to put it out there because it's also important for you as a freelancer and something you will have to do.
Yeah.
It's to be more persistent and to be more, and to, how do you say, like stand in for yourself.
Stand up for yourself, yeah.
For yourself. And to be like really like, because you
have to
projects.
Terrorize people sometimes to get what you want.
And not just in the context of your bank or your services that you're using.
Yeah.
Even with clients.
Yeah.
That's actually was on my goals list. I forgot to say.
To be more
persistent and to be more...
Tam.
Okay, I don't know what this is. But like, to be like more, less forgiving.
Yeah.
Less empathetic.
More strict.
And more like more business than personal.
Yeah.
I think this is now fine with other aspects in the company. But with clients, I was like still struggling last year. But yeah, so this is also a skill set you don't think you will need because you just assume everyone thinks your way.
Yeah, no.
And then suddenly you're dealing with projects that...
I feel like especially if you're somebody who's a good and nice person.
Yeah.
They will try to take advantage of that. Exactly. Everyone, companies, your own clients, employees, if you ever have them, everyone.
Exactly.
So you have to be... It's not like you have to be an asshole, but you just have to put yourself first. And you have to have skills in things like confrontation without being confrontational. And
it's
difficult to be diplomatic. Yeah.
And also if you're suddenly in a situation, because when you're suddenly being put into a conflict situation, it's like more difficult to have your composure up.
Yeah.
And think of, wait, I need to do it like this. No, because you're starting to be also your emotions take over.
Yeah.
And that's completely normal. And it's a difficult skill set to build up because you need to put yourself constantly in those confrontational
situations. Yeah. And then you have to like not react to them.
Yeah.
Which is really hard.
It's extremely hard. And so it's also a skill set to build up, especially working with own clients. It's
so on top of the 8 jobs you're already doing, you can add learning some psychology to that as well. Yeah. Like business psychology, like just client interactions and stuff.
Yeah, people psychology.
People, yeah, interpersonal relationships.
Yeah, interpersonal. Like, that's also why we're saying so often that you should also be picky with the clients you take on.
Yeah.
Like, you need to vibe.
But you know what recently happened to us is that we took on a client that we vibe with, but there's someone in that team we don't vibe with. So like you can even have like really great clients, but somebody in that team is just really toxic and makes the whole experience like horrible.
Yeah.
And you need to be able to deal with that to make it not so horrible.
Yeah. And on top of that, deal with all the people who are trying to tell you things are not possible. And just to tell them things are possible. I think this is also a full-time job at this point.
It is. Oh my God.
It's not working. Have you tried this? I hear.
Yeah. Like the guy at the bank who couldn't print the bank statement.
I literally took over his computer to print that bank statement correctly.
Yeah.
Like
he tried to tell you it's fine, even though like one digit was cut off.
Like, yeah, it is a bank statement for the finance ministry. I cannot give them a half-assed paper where digits are missing. I'm like, I told him I cannot present this. And he's like, no, you can like read it. I'm like, no, you cannot read it. And I mean, this was like, see, I am being like
confrontational
because I was like really pissed off at that point. And because I was again wasting my time. I had to go to the bank. Then there is someone trying to print something, not being able to print something, and telling me it's
again impossible. Not able to do their job.
Yeah, like how is
it can't be the first time that he's had to print something.
Exactly. Like this
and then the unwillingness to fix the problem.
That's my main issue with this thing. It's like, fine, if there is a problem that comes up, I absolutely never blame anyone.
Yeah.
They're trying to solve it, I really don't care.
Yeah.
Because if there's the intention to wanting to solve it and they're really trying their best, he wasn't.
No.
Yeah, he printed it on 5 different printers, but doing this, not changing a variable except for the printer. And maybe it's a printer's issue at first, but if you notice the second time it comes out the same.
It's probably not the printer. Yeah.
Exactly. But no, wasn't computing. Tried another printer and another printer and was like, and I even told him, like, did you make it smaller? Yeah. Like, okay, fine.
Sure, he did.
And then I was like, if you made it smaller, why does it look the same? And he's like, yeah, I don't know. Then I told him, give me the computer.
It's like you're talking to someone who is like you're their manager.
Honestly, I was like literally suddenly managing this person. I'm like, okay, show me how you're printing it. And then he literally turned his computer and I took over his mouse and I zoomed the thingy down.
You made the zoom, like, yeah, I know what you mean.
Yeah, when you print, you can make it
percentage.
I reduced the percentage, and guess what? It came out right. I'm like, I remember like telling you, girl, what the fuck? It's printing a document. Like, it was not rocket science that was happening there.
Apparently for him it was.
Yeah, but yeah, and I think, and suddenly I wasted a lot of time at the bank because of that, where I was supposed to do a different thing.
Yeah.
And that's why I mean, like, things will come up that you will have to take care. Yeah, things will come up. And things will come up regularly.
Yeah.
Like, not like
more regularly than you think.
Yeah, so it's not like, oh, finally the bank, okay, it was done. And I thought we were done. And suddenly I get a long-ass email from the accountant of all the other things missing. I'm like, what is this?
I love how, like, they didn't want to bombard you with everything.
Yeah.
I feel like they do that on purpose.
Small
they just give you, like, little crumbs so that you don't have to, like, eat a whole cake at once.
Overall, you're gonna do a lot more than you think you will be doing. So be aware of that. And especially in the beginning, because you have to most probably do your actual job full time. Just be aware that you will probably spend more time in the company than you think.
Yeah. Yeah, investing time in the company for it to be successful.
Yeah.
And just you're going to be spending so much time doing so many things that you didn't think you would have to be doing.
Yeah.
I think that's like the main message of this episode. is that you're not doing one job, you're doing probably at least 5.
And honestly, I think it's important that you have to, even if you're just one person, that you still have someone, even if it's just someone that's a freelancer, whatever, taking off things off your shoulders.
Yeah, I also think
even
so.
if it's just a personal assistant,
Yeah.
you will need someone. Doing this alone, long term, is difficult.
Even if it's just someone,
Content.
honestly, yeah, even if it's just someone coming and like cleaning your apartment.
Yeah,
I feel like that's already like, you know, at least have someone take jobs off like in your private life if you're going to do everything yourself.
exactly. Like you need to thrive, to have enough resources, not to just to pay yourself, generate a profit, but to also be potentially able to pay someone else
Yeah.
to do a job that's taking up a lot of your time.
I think you should always strive to make enough money to hire someone,
Exactly.
even if it's just for like 5 hours a month or 10 hours a month to do those small tasks.
Exactly, that's what I'm saying. So
Yeah.
I think a lot of freelancers are lone wolves. Let's put it
Yeah,
that way.
probably the majority of them.
Yeah, and I really highly recommend, even if you think it's not necessary, because it's just once a month, a few invoices, whatever. No, that be done by someone else.
I think the best investment we've ever made and are making is in our accountant.
Yeah, honestly,
I
God,
could not live without him.
it was also a business consultant to us.
Yeah.
Like he helped us a lot making really difficult business decisions and navigating them.
Yeah.
Like I'm gonna be forever grateful to him.
Me too. Good thing is that he's young, so he won't like go into retirement before us. I always worry like with people that I depend on in my life that they're gonna retire, like my postman.
Yeah,
He's the best postman I've ever had.
yeah,
Like he's just so on it.
yeah.
And if he ever retires, which I mean he will, I'm gonna be so sad.
It makes a lot of difference.
Yeah.
People who actually genuinely care and do their job beyond doing their job. So there's a problem to solve and they are solving it for you. You would think this is a bare minimum.
Yeah, it's not.
It's
It really
actually going above and beyond.
It really is.
And having people around you doing that, also our employees, our accountant, like people that we currently have working for us and with us are those types of people.
Yeah.
And you just notice, and it's like such a great feeling.
Yeah.
And yeah, is there anything else to add to that? We always like doomsdaying everything. Have you ever said something positive?
I just said something positive.
Sure, you're right.
There are people in my life that I depend on, and
True.
it makes all those like jobs I'm doing on a daily basis bearable because they are taking jobs off of my shoulders.
Yeah.
Even if it's just a postman, like just the fact that I know I'm not gonna have to go to the post office to get my package because he's gonna make sure I'm at home before he delivers it. Like he doesn't come if he knows I'm not there.
Wow. Okay.
Like I left my apartment yesterday and he saw me on the street and he was like, "Hey, Rebecca, like, is Tommy home?" Like my boyfriend. And I'm like, "Yeah, but he's sleeping because he had a night shift." He's like, "Oh, okay, I'll give you the package now." So he like takes me to his truck, goes in his truck, looks for the package
Yeah.
and gives it to me so I don't have to pick it up later.
Yeah, people who are actually doing their job well,
Yeah.
they are gems.
Yeah.
They're absolute gems.
And they are so rare.
Yeah, and they're really rare. And just from all the rants that we just told you, like it's difficult to find these people.
Yeah. And I also think that if you're somebody who is having to do like 10 jobs at once, which we are doing, which we also talked about, it's hard to do them well
Yeah.
because then things slip through the cracks because you're overworked. And that's the thing is like when you're a freelancer and you're doing all of this stuff yourself, yeah, it's cool that you're able to do it all, but are you really doing it well? Probably not. And that's why all the things where you feel like you're not doing it well and you have the money to invest or at least look to save money so you can invest in somebody else who then can do it well and will do it well
Yeah, because
because they're more focused.
yeah, and your whole job depends on you. Like your whole money flow
Yeah.
depends on you. So if you are not on top of it,
Yeah.
because you have to do so much shit, then your work is gonna
It's going to suffer. Yeah.
the quality of your work is gonna suffer.
For sure.
I just don't know how else to manage this unless you're some kind of superhuman
Yeah.
for you. But I just like it's insane. Yeah, invest in your mental health, invest in your company. Even if you're a freelancer, you're running a company, you should be aware of that.
Yeah.
in every company, you need someone to take things off your shoulders.
Yeah.
Even if it's small things. Even if you just spend 100 extra on someone else, just do it. You will benefit from it long term.
Yeah, it will definitely feel worth it.
Yeah.
You won't even notice that money going out because you'll feel like it was so worth it.
Exactly. So at the very least, think about a personal assistant.
Yeah.
At the very least.
For sure. I feel like if I would go back and be a freelancer again, that would be the first thing I would invest in.
I would be like, I need a personal assistant. They take care of the work, the
miscellaneous
tasks, and I'll take care of the actual work that I have to do for my company.
Yeah.
And viewing you being a freelancer as a company, because you are being taxed as a company and you are actually a company, even if you're just a one-person show.
Yeah.
So that's also important to really keep in mind.
Thank you for listening to this episode of Never Went to Business School. If you're interested in the work that we do, then check out our website. And if you want to see more of the behind the scenes or become part of the Same community, then follow us on Instagram.